right, hello and welcome everybody to the first cast from Alchemy League Season 10. I meant to do this on Sunday, but Sunday here in the United States was Mother's Day, and my mother had other plans. I offered. I was really like, Mom, you want to come on and co-cast some Age of Empires with me? And instead she wanted to do something weird like eat scallops and watch a family movie and go for a walk. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, probably most of your mothers are playing Age of Empires and co-casting it with you, but my mom is kind of weird. So we did that instead. And I've been busy the past few days with outdoor projects. So I wanted to get this cast out. There's no co-caster this time, so that, you know, if it crashes halfway through, or we're struggling through it, or there's massive amounts of lag or something like that, I can figure that out without be clowning a co-caster and dragging them through something like that. So, guys, let me know if something is not quite right. Otherwise, we're just going to go through some of the first games to come in for Alchemy League Season 10. Yeah, should be a good time. This season was an open map contest, so some of the map creators, we had 8 maps total that were commissioned, and we have 10 rounds for this season. It's actually kind of long for this season over the summer. I'm concerned that a season of this length over summer months generally doesn't get good participation because people go on, you know, vacations and such. But nevertheless, you know, it was important to try from the learning perspective. So we got basically 10 weeks, more than 10 weeks that somebody has to commit to from April 29th to August 11th. So it's a big commitment. Now we had 8 maps, as I said earlier, and the way that it worked is we got all those maps through all the alchemy quality process and such, and at the very end there was the map contest that many of you voted on, and the top 2 maps essentially got 2 slots, 2 extra slots, or not 2 extra, but 2 slots total, because we had 2 extra rounds. So they got 1 extra each. So that's why we see Crater of Doom twice, and that's why we see Conflagration twice, is because their map makers wanted those slots, and they also had the privilege of deciding what order the maps were played in. So if you want to view the results of the map contest, you can click down here on our website. This is our Season 10 webpage, so the video description will take you to the home page, but if you want to see Season 10, you just got to click down there. All right, so we got all of our definitions in place, and we got our registration and everything. Most of the games are actually underway. I don't want to show that too much because, you know, if you pause the video just right, you can see, spoiler, the results, but we will click on the seating here. And so in today's set, we're going to show Plotter Ghost versus the Flying Mouse, and we're going to show Wiznatic versus Thomas Abruzzi. Thomas Abruzzi here, up at 2.6K. Real tough guy. I guess he didn't get the memo. I imagine that I'm sure that there is no memo, right? But it's generally not cost effective for guys up at the 2.6K level to sign up for Alchemy League. It's a big commitment. I mean, it's not really like a lot of games, which is kind of the nice thing, right? Because all things considered, these guys are playing hundreds of games per week, I would imagine, right? Hey guys, welcome. We got some folks in chat. Cookie Pirate, what are you doing here? You got to go to work. Maybe you are at work. Darkness Crusher, hello, welcome. So sorry if you've been waiting for me to acknowledge your chat. I didn't think anybody would be here. I thought it would just be me talking to an empty room, because we're doing a test stream today at kind of a weird hour just to make sure that everything's working out okay. So I was saying that Thomas Abruzzi is new to our league this season. He signed up. We're glad to have him. You know, when players like this play in your league, it gives you the opportunity to say to everybody else, hey, you know, join Alchemy League, because we can really put you up against some tough guys. And so we really appreciate Thomas Abruzzi giving it a chance. It's not, like I said, it's not really very cost effective. The prize pool is pretty low. But then again, the number of games that you commit to is also low. So as long as you kind of got bandwidth in your mind to have like one more small tournament that you're going to play 2 or 3 games a week on, and you've got it, and you have the radar to keep track of that, then it could, I definitely would recommend. I would recommend it to everybody. I would recommend it to Hera, the Viper, all those big names in Age of Empires. But I get why they're not here at the same time, because they can make a lot more money playing in other competitions that, although maybe more game demanding, they're just more worth thinking about on their radar. But we'll see what Thomas Abruzzi does. I think he's a relatively new top 50 player in the world. Wisnatic is a top couple hundred player in the world probably. He's been pretty motivated lately. He's gotten himself up to 2.3K, which is really good. We love Wisnatic. Wisnatic is from Germany, and he has played in every single tournament that I have ever hosted, and so that's pretty special. We go back to the King of Ireland tournament. So Wisnatic has been a big supporter of Alchemy League since the very beginning, and we're very grateful for that. Thomas Abruzzi is from, I think, Belgium. We can click here to see. We click here, it'll bring up his profile. I'm pretty sure he's from Belgium, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Also known as Thofu in game. And, yeah, a really tough guy. #1 player in Belgium. Number 37 in the entire world. And Wisnatic, also a very tough guy. And what's insane? Hey! Oh, you have today off! Oh, that's right, Cookie Pirate. That's right. That's awesome. Darkness Crusher says he's known as a Thufu. Crazy high-level player. And Wisnatic, Wisnatic somehow got seeded as 2.3, but he's about 2.2 right now. It goes up and down. And he is, top 277 in the world and the 19th best player in Germany. And Wisnatic has been in everything. He's a diehard Alchemy League fan. We love Wisnatic, and he loves us, and that's a very good thing. So these are going to be our first two, but the crazy thing about it that I wanted to tell you guys, these are the top two players, is that Wisnatic is going to get a 5% handicap against Thomas Abruzzi. I mean, you're looking at it, they're like 300, they're about 300 elo apart, so that's about the point where you get 5% handicap. So we're going to see a 2.3K player or a 2.2K player with a 5% handicap. Now, how many places can you say that would happen? Not very often. Cookie Pirate says, the great thing about AoE? No leaders fear your warmongering as an issue of global prominence. That's true. Warmongering is the point in Age of Empires. Cookie Pirate is, I'm teaching Cookie Pirate Civ 3, and he's getting pretty good at it. It's definitely a different experience. Okay, so let's, but the warmongers, the leaders in Civ 3 are much more warmongering than usual. All right, so we're going to come down here first. We're going to open up with Flying Mouse, who is a German player, and Plotter Ghost is Dutch. So these two guys are around 1500s. Flying Mouse, slight advantage, like 60 higher than Plotter Ghost, but it is Alchemy League, and anything can happen. These are custom maps that these guys are playing on. So Flying Mouse has played with us often since Alchemy League Season 4, I believe. And Plotter Ghost has been with us from the beginning as well. I don't think he's played in every single season of the league. There were a couple where he had something going on, and he wasn't able to join. But he's known of us. I actually think he goes back to the King of Ireland tournament as well. And this is a really nice thing. And a lot of these guys, they come, they try it out, and they really like it. Some people try it and they absolutely hate it. But most people that try it really like it. The question is whether or not this, 3 seasons per year format is good for retaining people, because we had a lot of people that didn't sign up this season just because it's it's the summer and they're traveling and they're on vacations and such. So we're gonna take a close look at that after this next season and see how we want to do season 4. So anyway, so there's the players. If you got any questions, let me know. Cookie Pirate just saw Santa. I gotta add some more Santa Easter eggs in there. All right, let's see here. So let's talk about the civilization. Let's talk about the map drafts. Now, I accidentally messed up a little bit, or maybe they messed up. I'm not exactly sure. They play the map of the round first, and then they take turns banning maps until nothing remains. And then they play the remaining maps in reverse order of the ban. So I think, if I'm reading this right, he banned Crater of Doom, then Plotter Ghost banned Cubu, and then he banned Bluegill, and then Plotter Ghost banned Emigration, and then he banned Bear Valley, Plotter Ghost banned Spring Hills, and then he banned Shogun. And so the first map should be Conflagration, and the second map should be Shogun. That was kind of my understanding. Okay, and I think that's how it worked here with Thofu, aka Thomas Abruzzi, and Wizanatic as well. But we'll have to go and see if they played it, if I'm reading this correctly. Because because the important thing is I go in and read this, and I'm like, okay, let's show them 4 different maps, and I sure hope we got 4 different maps. I don't know. From the Rex, it doesn't look too promising. Now, the Civ Draft. We got some very unique Civ Draft going on. I'm not going to go through and describe all of the bans, but suffice it to say that there are, I believe, 16 random admin bans at the start, and then they each globally ban 4 civilizations, taking turns. And then they pick 3, snipe 1 from each other, hidden and simultaneous, and then they pick 3 more. And the result of that has left Flying Mouse with Portuguese, Malay, Franks, Japanese, and Turks, and Plotter Ghost was left with Slavs, Saracens, Vietnamese, Tatars, and Burgundians. So the point was to try to get some more civilization variety going on here, because I'm tired of seeing the Saracens versus the Lithuanians every single time, or whatever it is. And we'll talk about the Civ Draft later for these guys. So we're gonna do Flying Mouse versus Plotter Ghost first. Cookie Pirate says Civ 3 is fun. It's hard to say which I like best because they're all quite different. 5 was probably the best except for the fact it's no longer supported online. I agree. It's very tragic that they didn't support 5 across multiple platforms. Okay, so we are in Plotter Ghost versus Flying Mouse on Crater of Doom. We're going to unpause and we're going to get the game rolling here. Crater of Doom. This was a map that was made by Jasuki for Alchemy League Season 10. Basically what happened is I messaged the guys some time ago and I was like, alright guys, we don't have a lot of time to prepare maps. So what have you got on your deck? Have you made a map recently that you were disappointed, you wanted to see it featured in a tournament, or you made it for some other reason because you wanted to play with your friends, and the goal here is to minimize the amount of work that you have to do. Send me some of your map ideas. And then they basically sent me map ideas, but they didn't give me the specifics about what the map would look like, because I didn't want that to bias the selection process. All that really mattered was how much work do you have to put into this, and how quickly can you have it done. And so these guys all sent me their maps that didn't really require very much work to submit, and so and then we kind of worked from there. So we can see Flying Mouse and Plotter Ghost here are kind of trapped in this almost like Socotra arena. Now, in theory, you could chop your way to the outside, and there are some bonus resources on the outside. There are some polar bears guarding this relic, and there are just some other things too. Some snowy forests and gravel-like terrain. And the Crater of Doom is up here, and the crater itself has all kinds of chickens and rabbits, and not a single fox to be found. So they are very happy. No foxes, no predators. It's like a sanctuary, except they're going to be killed by the players instead. So they're still not going to make it out of this alive. Most of them probably will get eaten. But at least they're not going to be wasted on wild animals. I mean, what do those wild animals think they're doing, eating chickens and rabbits, to tell you the truth? It's very, very disturbing. So, Tatars versus the Malay. Let's see if we can break down these civilization choices. Plotter Ghost trying to get a hill advantage here. Flying Mouse got a few free whacks on Plotter Ghost, and I think Plotter's going to have to run. Yeah, Plotter realizing Flying Mouse is paying attention to this, and Flying Mouse not really wanting to commit to a pursuit. He doesn't want to run into a face full of town center arrows, so he's just going to keep exploring the map. Let's see, Plotter Ghost has found his opponent's town center. You could probably assume your opponent has built a town center, or a lumber camp along this back ring of forest. Let's see what Flying Mouse is understanding the map. Actually, Flying Mouse has not found Plotter Ghost, which I think he should. Flying Mouse is docked, He's the Malay. His dock gets some extra vision. I'm wondering if he's going to do the Malay fish boom. Hey, Ronald, welcome. The crater of chickens. Well, actually, it's a crater of oysters. But the chickens are definitely on the rim of the caldera. Yes, that's right. That's a scientific term for this location. This is the caldera. So this used to be an ancient stratovolcano. And now it is dormant. And in that time, the caldera has filled up with some water. And ordinarily, oysters would probably not be able to live in this, except the water is slightly warmed by the geothermal activity. So it's almost like tropical water here, and that means plenty of oysters. I don't know how the oysters got there. Maybe the birds carried them. That's usually how fish and other marine life get to just random bodies of water across the world. Things that are not connected to the ocean, they're carried by the birds. So Malay advanced very quickly. So what that means is that Flying Mouse can put off feudal age for a little while. And as long as he's smart, and he puts it off in a way where he makes some extra villagers first. Oh, the kitty's on your lap watching Alchemy League. I have a kitty too, Ronald. He was on my lap earlier, and he was all loving and purring. He's a good cat, but he can't let anybody see him. We have two cats. We have one big grumpy cat, and we have one little playful cat that doesn't leave the grumpy cat alone and is always picking on him. And so I had the grumpy cat in my lap this morning and petted him, and he's all banking into it. He's purring. Ronald lost his job to AI. Lull. Ronald, that's not a lull. That's a yikes. So that's why Ronald here. But he got a better one. Oh, okay. All right. So no wonder Ronald's in such a good mood then. He got a better job. That's good. I wonder if Ronald's new job involves training AI somehow. See, the AI is definitely going to be a little bit disruptive. It will, some people will lose jobs to AI in terms of, like, the things that AI can now do. People used to do that kind of research, but now people can take that research from the AI and then do something different with it. The way that I see it, and I think I've told you guys about this in the past, is, you know, there's this big old question of, is AI sentient? We actually did a promotional show match on the Alchemy League maps, and we may have talked about this more. Or you may just take away from that promotional show match that Bandit was kindly educating me. Uh-oh, is there a hole in the wall? What's going on here? Bandit, my co-caster, was politely educating me on all the different limitations. It looks like somehow Flying Mouse's scout got walled in here. Maybe there was a fight, maybe not. This is some pretty quick work from Plotter Ghost here. But what I was going to say is the AI is basically, I don't know that it's necessarily sentient in the way that people think that it's sentient. Oh, I like how he created this little petting zoo, you know, with his spearmen, and he walled in. Okay, sent the spearmen down, deleted the wall, killed the scout. And Plotter Ghost is Tatars. So Tatars make a lot of sense because of the hill. Malay make a lot of sense from an economic perspective, but Flying Mouse really loves his man-at-arms plays. But this seems really late for a man-at-arms play from Flying Mouse. I don't know. It seems like you would have wanted the barracks up, and you would have wanted your man-at-arms moving out across the map a lot quicker. And I'm not really sure what happened with that, but you guys can. Oh boy, you guys can see part of my desktop. Hang on. Let me pause this real quick. I was going to say that the AI... There we go. Alright. Usually it's a disaster. There we go. We fixed it. Oh, shoot. You guys, you never corrected me. I need to go into the game screen share. Alright. There we go. So we're in the game. Sorry about that. Alright. So this whole time you guys are watching me. You don't really want to watch me. You want to watch the game. Ronald says data entry jobs probably will be non-existent in a few years. So Plotter Ghost actually managing to get some scouts in here. I think Flying Mouse was focusing somewhere else. And Flying Mouse does have a spearman out, and it's only 2 scouts. So it's not too damaging. Which could be why he was able to get them in here, because it was only 2, so Flying Mouse wasn't too worried about it. But I was going to say that the AI is not terribly sentient, but what it it will never come up with like new solutions. I've tested the AI extensively, and I tried to get it to help me accomplish something in random map scripting, and I gave it all the background information that it needed and everything, and then it just could not. But it did, however, come up with some resources, and it kind of gave me an idea, and actually I invented something for random map scripting based on the my conversation with the AI, but the AI could never execute it. Like, it could never make something new. All that it could do was come up with things that other people had done, and it's like a gigantic internet search of an internet search. So it basically it's instead of just typing in what you're looking for, it'll recursively go out and it'll do your search, and then during your search you'll come up with other things that you don't really understand or know about. So you have to search those things to understand what they are, and you basically have to branch out like a tree. But the AI basically does that for you. And it takes all of those little bits of information and it converts them and it summarizes them into something that pretty much anybody can understand. So that's my experience with the AI. It's like and I used the AI to get this stream going this time, where I was like, oh geez, why isn't oh, it looks like Flying Mouse is having some lag here as Plotter Ghost comes in with a group of archers. So that could explain why some units got in here too. But I was going to say, I did a search, and why is my hardware encoder for my streaming software, why is that not working? And so I gave it the error message, and it's like, oh well, this is happening. And I was like, well, but I'm on this computer, and then I have these settings, and then it very quickly adapted, and basically I was able to use it to zero in on my solution, and it saved me a lot of time. It didn't really replace my understanding of it, but I don't necessarily need to know all of these different nuances or parse through 15 different websites to get an overview of like all these potential different root causes. Exactly. Darkness Crusher says, not sentient but quite productive. Ronald says, can't even say screw Google because we're currently using a Google company. Oh yeah, Ronald, you got to be careful what you say. They could be watching, after all. In programming, for example, it can be 10 times as productive as I am. And models are still improving. Yes, and I have used the AI to help me, and I really should clarify this with a little bit of nuance here. These guys have kind of, they've sent a few things to each other, but they haven't really done very much damage. Plotter Ghost made a couple scouts, and then he made some archers. And Flying Mouse, I think he's just happy to... Oops. He's just happy to control the water here. He's got a couple of oystering ships taking gold. He's got a galley, which is cost-effective to defend water assets. This galley has a lot of pierce armor. He's got 3 pierce armor. And so these archers are only doing 2 damage per hit to this galley, which is quite pathetic. We don't want to lose track of the game while we're talking about literally the hottest topic in the world right now. But yes, it does, to Cookie Pirate's point, it does mess things up a lot. So AI is a good productivity tool. It's good at making you better at what you do, but you can't trust it. The lack of intelligence. Well, you can trust it, but you can never trust it in situations where there's life or death or where there has to be accountability. Because accountability is what makes people good at their jobs. If somebody... If there's a if you do an analysis, let's say, and you're an engineer and you're designing an airplane engine part, just, because I go to this example because that's my background, and let's say that you use the AI to design it, and you don't really understand what that design is or what it's doing, and something goes wrong, then, it's on you for not verifying the AI's designs, because the AI can't be held accountable. It's just a computer. What are you going to do? Unplug it? So what? It doesn't care. But a person, you can bankrupt them. So I know that's not a very fun topic, but that's the fear of being held accountable is in many cases what kind of forces a cohesive society and allows it to produce nice things. As we see Flying Mouse afraid of being held accountable for his out of position, so he's running back to the dock, where you can garrison some fishing ships, maybe get some arrow support that way. And I think he had a galley over here too. Oh, he's got a demolition raft. Okay, that explains it. Yeah, Flying Mouse loves explosions. Plotter Ghost is actually Castle Age before Flying Mouse, but Flying Mouse will be up Castle Age soon. He is melee after all, he advances more quickly. And Plotter Ghost has made cavalry archers. I don't really understand the cavalry archers on this map. It would seem like it would be more cost effective to make regular archers. I think they need to increase maybe cavalry archer train time or something. Because this is not a big wide open space. This is not a very raidable map, and cavalry archers are a raiding unit. They managed to pick off a villager on the farms. So anyway, yeah, the AI is great as long as you don't require accountability. Like if it's just some silly Age of Empires stream setup, or you're generating some artwork, or you know you're researching a trip or something like that, and you're trying to get recommendations for elephants. You're trying to get recommendations for the best places to go to see elephants. The AI can search all of the searches and give you a good summary of it. So it's a very useful tool. But if you're doing surgery, or you're designing a bridge, or you're providing relationship advice. Yeah, I said that, relationship advice. You don't want to take relationship advice from the AI. That's really pulling on some levers that probably somebody who cares should pull on instead of just a computer, right? But any of those things that require accountability, I don't know how these elephants are going to do against these cavalry archers. These cavalry archers might be the one unit that is good against these elephants, because they're just going to run away. Maybe the elephants will get some hits. You don't want to get hit by these elephants. They're going to be quite well trampled here. And the elephants have a generous amount of HP too. Now they're just melee, so they're not going to be well armored, but they are cheap. You need less hands for the same result anyway. Well, I think what you mean, Darkness Crusher, is that you can get more results with the same number of hands. And more results is always good. Bounty is always good. So Flying Mouse with the Elephant Stampede, I'd love to see... I guess he's got some siege follow-up. This makes a lot of sense. Now, the Tatars are not known for their infantry at all. Elephants chasing down the mangonel there. So it's not likely that Plotter Ghost will want to make pikemen to counter these elephants. But if you are up against a civ like the Tatars, elephants can make a lot of sense mid-game. But unfortunately for Flying Mouse, he's kind of finding it hard to push. The Tatars are getting so much hill advantage, and he's kind of got to push up this hill. I think Flying Mouse should really develop, you know, a curved base, and I think he really should try to push from this angle. Because if he tries going through the crater, then Plotter Ghost is just going to exploit the hill advantage. So I think he needs to loop around this way. But it's, you know, it's tricky because not only are these cavalry archers faster than him, but now they have a shortcut, right? They can just get into the good stuff. They can come straight across this this caldera, and they can just run into his town and snipe villagers with their arrows, and it's just super annoying. So he's got to figure out how to defend for that. Maybe some towers or something. He built one tower here on this wood line and to protect these farms and these villagers. And I think maybe he's trying to chop out as quickly as possible. And once you're on the outside, I think you can defend a little bit more easily. It's easier to see. It's easy to wall off. Let's see if Plotter is going for the outside chop too. It looks like he is. Makes sense. So it's an army of cavalry archers. Oh, let's try to trigger... Okay, elephants. Sorry, monks. Monks are a reasonable defense against elephants. Plotter is making lots of monks. I don't know if Flying Mouse knows about the monks. He sees the monastery, and he's probably seen a few monks sprinkled in. So it stands to reason that if something works, Plotter will do a lot of it. And therefore, he probably knows about the monks. But does he know there's an absurd number of monks, that there's 8 monks? Probably not. 8 monks is a big investment. So these cavalry archers coming in for a raid here. Flying Mouse garrisons the tower. The cavalry archers are just gonna chisel down the palisade wall and then run in a very annoying cavalry archer manner. And Flying Mouse surely must know that. Okay, all right. The cavalry archers do not come in. Flying Mouse walls behind. And at the same time, he launches an attack with some elephants and some light calves. And Plotter Ghost is going to have to try and micro down, make sure that he collects the elephants here, that he converts them. And he does get some good elephant conversions here. And Mangonel pops out and it flattens some scorpions. And I would say that this, and also Flying Mouse has a monk of his own converting some elephants back. And I would say this is an okay fight so far for Flying Mouse. You know, all things considered. It's somewhat annoying that he's got to spend so much time for him cleaning up his own elephants. And these crossbows are on the run, and these cavalry archers did not really participate in this fight, which surprises me. So this elephant's going to chase them down. But I think Flying Mouse needs some more monks of his own. And actually, the Malay can out-monk the Tatars very easily. He could, for example, get Atonement as the Malay. Pretty sure the Malay get Atonement. They just don't get Fervor for whatever reason. So their monks are slow. But yes, they get Atonement. Whereas the Tatars, I think, get basically nothing. I think Atonement might be all that they get. Yeah, they get Atonement, but they don't get Redemption. They don't get Heresy. They don't get Sanctity. And they don't get Theocracy. But they do get faster monks, faster regeneration of monk faith, and more monk range. And this is herbal medicine. So the Tatar monastery kind of sucks. Tatars are a nice pick on this hilly map, says Ronald Rage. I agree. I think that Tatars make a lot of sense. I don't know that I agree with how Flying Mouse is playing it, though. I think Flying Mouse would be better off with a lot more infantry and siege weapons, and maybe trying to zone off different sections of the map. On the one hand, Tatars are good because of the hill. On the other hand, I would think they would not be so good because of kind of a, you know, confined spaces here. But Plotterghost has managed to keep his cavalry archers alive. And Flying Mouse wants to make the elephants. He desires the elephants heavily. But yeah, Plotter is definitely thinking about the hill advantage, Crater of Doom. And Tatars can be super annoying with that. Flying Mouse has reached the Imperial Age. And, well, Plotter is on his way up. He's about a third of the way up. Town center. Oh! Plotterghost is housed. And what's Plotterghost's Imperial Age plan? It seems to be that he's just making more of these cavalry archers. You know what could have worked really well for Flying Mouse as well would have been Arbalesters. Malay get really reasonable Arbalesters. Archer play could be really good here. But I don't think that he's going for that. Actually, he's getting ballistics and he's getting chemistry. So maybe he is going for archers. Or maybe he just wants his castle to be able to hit cavalry archers that come by. Not a lot of stone inside of this caldera. You pretty much have to chop to it. I believe that this was maybe a mostly purchased castle. Oh, where's the demo? Where's the demo? He doesn't release the demolition ship, which is unusual. He's got two of them. He had two demolition ships here, but he didn't release them. He did not go up against the cavalry archers, which is unusual. He must have been waiting for something. He's got a trebuchet here. What's that for? Is that for attacking the siege workshop? You guys know that I'm very biased against the Tatars. I think they're a very bad civ, but in some situations they could be okay. Oh boy, Flying Mouse, watch out! Don't get crushed. Okay, a couple of scorpions get some rocks thrown on their heads, and they get flattened. Maybe Flying Mouse is waiting for these cavalry archers to get a bit closer. Oh, he's got the harbors. Okay. The harbor's shooting arrows. That's really smart from Flying Mouse. So he can basically lock down these oysters with harbors. He could do a harbor creep. It's kind of like the fortified church rush. Now, I don't think the harbors are really part of our strategic variety spreadsheet, because only one civ can make them. I think that's sort of our rule, that if only one civ can make it, it's not on there. But if it could be done by multiple civs, then it is. Yeah, but I think Flying Mouse should totally be going into Redemption. You imagine... Oh, okay, he's doing cannons. Cannons could work. Redemption's better, in my opinion, but cannons are still okay. Flying Mouse getting skirmishers. Let's check out the economy sizes for them. Look on this banner here. Plotter Ghost boomed up to 100 villagers, and Flying Mouse is at 70. So Plotter Ghost's economy is larger. He's on 2 town centers. Flying Mouse is only on 1. So Flying Mouse needs to make some damage happen. He had Imperial Age for longer. And let's see. Plotter Ghost is getting capped ram. And Flying Mouse charging these cavalry archers, but as I fear, the cavalry archers are just kiting the elephants in a very annoying manner. Ooh. Some scorpions go down to the mangonel fire. The harbors are firing at the mangonels, but the mangonels actually have decent pierce armor, so they can tank a little bit of fire. Is there any stone on the inside? That's a good question. I think the answer is very little. I think there's like maybe 2 stone piles on the inside. We'll see this map again and we'll make sure that we check it, but if there is stone, there's very little stone. It's a classic arena clown. Trebuchet attacking the the cavalry archers. Hey, every little bit helps. Ronald Rage is sleepy. I'm assuming that's what that means. So Plotter Ghost coming around looking for another raid perhaps from this side, and this would actually be kind of painful. Flying Mouse would have to pull these villagers back. He can't afford to lose them, really. He's already behind on villagers. But Flying Mouse is paying attention somewhere else. I don't get why people don't just stonewall. You know, spend 50 stone and just wall this off so you don't have to think about it. But instead, all these villagers are killed. And the cavalry archers are kind of trapped, maybe, but they kind of want to be trapped at the same time. There are a lot of them. They don't take as much damage to that mangonel as they could have taken. They are getting lots of hits from these ballistas, though. So he's killing some cavalry archers that are back here. But overall, I would still say that was worth it. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4 cavalry archers died there, and a bunch of injuries. But he has a bunch of monks back at his base. So, ooh, karambits, let's go. I don't know that karambits are the kind of unit that you want to see. So the karambits are bad against monks in the sense that they are castle unit, and monks convert castle units quite effectively. But karambits are cheap and spammable, and monks struggle against cheap spammable units. So it's kind of a wash in my opinion. But he did manage to kill most of the monks here, which was a good win for Flying Mouse. But his harbors are being sieged by Plotter Ghost. Plotter Ghost has made some Tatar capped rams. Ronald Rage says, I noticed the lack of castles. Yes, that is true. There is a lack of castles. There's basically each player seems to have 1 castle, and that's basically it. Unless, yeah, there's no castles on the outside that I can see. So not a lot of stone on the map, which leads to plenty of aggression. Okay, the Rams finally succumbed, but I think they killed like 3 or 4 harbors. So it was a good push for Plotter Ghost. I think it was cost effective. I'm not sure that there's enough here protecting this trebuchet, so Plotter Ghost is going to come over and attack. Now, the thing about the Karambit Warriors that makes them kind of effective against archers is not that they are good, but that they are so comically bad against archers, if that makes sense. So the Karambits have low HP, they have, you know, they're infantry, they have relatively low armor, but what makes them good is the fact that they are so easy to kill by the archers that they become very low-cost, highly spammable units. And overkill is a thing on Karambit warriors. Karambit warriors, you know, if you got 40 archers killing a single Karambit warrior, congratulations, you know. He wasn't that big of a deal. Now kill the remaining 40 Karambit warriors because they're so cheap. But Flying Mouse has to get there. He's got to get to the kind of the spamming stage of the Karambit warriors, and I don't think he's really there yet. He's only got 72 villagers. So Plotterghost's economy is bigger than his. A lot of CAs died, says Darkness Crusher. That's true. A lot of cavalry archers did die. There's another castle here from Flying Mouse. What do you guys think? Do you guys think this castle is sufficiently aggressive? Or do you guys think that this castle could be more aggressive? Alright, so we have a single pikeman here, but he hasn't found his way to the front yet. There we go. Now he's going to help against the hussars. And the hussars do dive, and they kill, I think, a couple scorpions. But now Flying Mouse has to deal with this trebuchet. And here he comes. He's got a couple of scorpions. He's got a couple of pikemen. He's got 4 scorpion. And yeah, he needs to take the fight. The Flying Mouse just doesn't quite have enough. I think that these hussars are going to snipe this trebuchet, and I think Flying Mouse will call the GG. He's just, he doesn't have enough. Castle's about to go down. The Hussar are absorbing much of his damage, even though they personally are not doing very well. They are keeping Flying Mouse's army busy long enough to where the siege engines can tear down the castle. And Flying Mouse is going into crossbow now. He's getting crossbow. He's still making more heavy scorpions. Heavy scorpion is a big investment. The hussars with lots of pierce armor. I don't know, and they have the same pierce armor as paladins, so, or not as paladins, but as cavaliers, which are much more common. Trebuchet rolls forward and continues the siege. I guess Flying Mouse is going to fight on. It's a tournament, might as well. Do Tatars get a treb bonus? They do. They get Timorrid Siegecraft, which is a unique technology that gives trebuchets +2 range. But he doesn't have it, so there's no bonus for this trebuchet right now. And yeah, Flying Mouse is in a lot of trouble. I think that this game is pretty much over. I don't know what Flying Mouse can do. And yeah, neither does Flying Mouse since he calls the GG. It was a good game for a while, but I think Flying Mouse made a mistake with the elephants. I think the elephants just got punked too hardly. Or not too hardly, but too hard by Plotterghost. He just ran around the elephants, sniped them, did damage to Flying Mouse's economy, and bought himself time to get a fistful of monks out to convert the elephants and stop them. I would have liked to see some, instead of a castle, I would have loved to see some stone walls and 3 monasteries and a few pikemen and lots of monk action, or a big ball of crossbows or something. But the elephants and the Thessalocracy harbors, you know, they were a nice thought. Let's take a look at the statistics. Alright, so for military, you know, it's actually relatively even KD here. You know, this is not necessarily a decisive KD. Blotterghost did raise 8 buildings and lost none. And he converted 7 units. A larger army of 49. This is what was decisive. Flying Mouse only collected about 1,000 gold. Plotterghost with better feudal and castle age advancements times. Flying Mouse way quicker to the Imperial Age, but he wasn't really able to use it because he didn't have map control. They both built 2 castles. but Plotter Ghost with a much bigger villager high. And you can see that Plotter Ghost managed the steady decline of Flying Mouse's army. Let's check the stone situation. So, gold, 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 and yeah, 2 tiles of stone. So, just 2 tiles of stone here. So this map is by Jasuki. So they each only get 700 stone within the ring. GG. So, now we get to see the Saracens versus the Franks on Conflagration. So Conflagration was made by Welcome to Rapture for Alchemy League Season 10. We got a pagan shrine in the middle that is indestructible and reversibly convertible from Gaia. The shrine does nothing except provide a little bit of line of sight and I believe 10 population space. We have Flying Mouse playing as at approximately 4 o'clock, and he is playing as the Blue Franks. And then we have Plotter Ghost at 9 o'clock playing as the Red Saracens. So, well, okay then. Flying Mouse with a steep, in my opinion, civilization disadvantage here. He's up against a camel civilization. Now, you know, he does get pikemen and everything like that. He can still deal with camels, but I don't think he has as many good options. But the options that he does have are, in my opinion, on average, better. At least the narrower options are stronger, if you will. But that does make him more predictable. Now, there is a decent amount of stone scattered across the map. It is Conflagration, after all, and things burn down, but not stone. Stone doesn't burn, so it stands to reason that there is stone left on the map. And then there are kind of like bonus corners that seem to have some extra animals that you can hunt, or maybe some gold, or maybe a relic, or maybe why not all 3. So they seem to have all 3. You get this pocket of trees that has some berry bushes inside of it, so it's like kind of like a little hidden grove of fruit bushes. You get a couple of nice big wood lines on the map as well. Whose map do I like better? Well, the berry bushes are forward for Flying Mouse, and they're kind of back for Plotter Ghost. I would say Plotter's map is better as long as he can secure his gold. Flying Mouse gets back gold, but overall his map is harder to wall, in my opinion. And his resources are more exposed. So I give the map advantage to Plotter Ghost and the civ advantage to Plotter Ghost. So maybe Flying Mouse will have some surprises, though, in his bag of tricks. Flying Mouse does love his Man-at-Arms, so we might see Flying Mouse do some kind of like Man-at-Arms towers into Frankish castles. That could be a play. Or he could go scouts. We can look at his lumber camp here and actually tell what he's planning on doing. He only has 2 on wood, so he's going scouts. And Plotter Ghost is the same, so they're both going scouts. We're going to see a mirror scouts war from these players. Saracens versus Franks. I mean, they both get decent scouts. Plotter Ghost pushing in an ibex for some extra food, and Flying Mouse is actually doing the same. Flying Mouse is a little bit of villager ahead of Plotter Ghost. I remember Flying Mouse found this community through the Rome at War mod, actually. It was kind of cool. And I remember Man-at-Arms rushing Flying Mouse when he was just a little noob. And now Flying Mouse is way better than I am. But I basically, in the Rome at War mod, I did the equivalent of Man-at-Arms rush against Flying Mouse. Did a lot of damage, drove him nuts a few times. But then he adapted, and I couldn't really hurt him with it anymore. But I think that's where he gained his love of Man-at-Arms Rush. Maybe not. I know. The world doesn't revolve around me, but I think it's kind of ironic that Flying Mouse uses the strategy that I used against him when he was kind of more of a beginner at Age of Empires, but he just does it better now. So, he's only got 1 on the berries, despite being Franks. I mean, the Franks have a berry picking bonus. They pick their berries 25% faster. I guess Frankish people are good at finding food in berry bushes. I'm not really sure what was the inspiration for the bonus, but it's an old bonus. It hasn't really been changed. I mean, the amount has been changed over the years. The acceleration to the berry picking, but the bonus itself is consistent since the Age of Kings. So you don't really want, even though you're Franks and you take the berries faster, you don't really want to be heavily on berries if you're trying to go a fast feudal into scouts. You want to take hunted meat first, not only because it's like harder to get. You know, he's got to come all the way out here and he's got to focus on pushing his deer. So if he waited to get this meat until later, then he might lose, so let's say, some scouts to a spearman because he's pushing deer instead of microing scouts properly. So that's one thing. And then the other reason is because hunted meat and herded meat, lureable meat, if you will, lureable, huntable, herdable meat that comes off of an animal is collected faster in Age of Empires. So he's built his barracks, he's building his stable now. So we will see him heavily transition over to the berries. They both did a 20 pop scouts build, so that's fine. Plotter Ghost building a stable. Plotter Ghost, we're heavily on wood now. That's to support farm production later. The scouts eco is pretty good. It's pretty powerful. So even if you do no damage with the scouts, you get map control, and you've got mobility. You don't have to really fight, and you have a good eco. You've got lots of farms, lots of rolling farms. You can do a lot from that. You can go Castle Age, you can go Endless Scouts. You know, you can do a lot. You could even transition into other units if you like. You can afford a lot. So Flying Mouse realizing, okay, this is the one little pocket that Plotter Ghost has to defend, essentially. So this is why I said that Plotter Ghost has a better map, because he literally just has to defend this small area here for a while. I mean, he's going to want this gold later, but he doesn't need it right now. Flying Mouse, I love this. Flying Mouse has built a gate in his little pocket of berries. Now you got to be careful and make sure that you properly wall in and protect your berries. But Flying Mouse has all of this. He's got this wood line to defend, he's got this wood line to defend, and he's got this front thing to defend too. So Flying Mouse has a lot more to defend, but Flying Mouse's eco is better. I mean, look at their score. He's got 200 score on Plotter Ghost. Because Plotter Ghost didn't get an eco bonus in the Dark Age, and Flying Mouse does. So Plotter Ghost's eco bonus is basically building a market and using the market. So Plotter Ghost taking this shrine here, he's got 55 population space, and then losing it, and he's got 45 now. So the shrine does provide 10 pop space. So that confirms what I told you earlier. Plotter Ghost, I guess he's going to come around this way. See if he can find some damage. Flying Mouse building a ring of farms here. I'm surprised Flying Mouse... Okay, here he is. He's moving out. He's moving out against Plotter. I mean, he might be able to get in here. Plotter might be able to quick wall him out, too. Plotter, as he's chopping, is mindful of the different holes in the wall, so he's going to build some palisades. We see these villagers just walked around this mill, so there actually is a hole here, but you can't see it. That's the tricky part. Now, Plotter Ghost, he gets one villager pick off, and Flying Mouse has to small wall, and Flying Mouse manages to save it in time. And he's also walling here. I think he should pull this villager back and small wall this wood line. But luckily for Flying Mouse, Plotter Ghost is still trying to get in on this side. So meanwhile, these scouts are here. They managed to pick off a spearman. They come in through the hole in the wall, and this is a disaster for Plotter Ghost because everything that he has is here. So Flying Ghost is going to get one villager pick off, similar to Plotter, and he's going to get maybe two. And then there are more villagers here on these berries, which he should totally get, which okay, he sees it now. Wait. No, he's going to run away. It was just one spearman. He could have killed it. All right. Well, maybe he doesn't want to, you know, he wants to be grateful for the one kill. Doesn't want to blunder too much. Doesn't want to be greedy. But that was an opportunity of a lifetime, in my opinion. He's taken the Pagan Shrine. Plotter has. Let's check Flying Mouse's resources. He's got to be getting close to clicking up. He's thinking about it. He's building a market and a blacksmith. He doesn't need the market per se, but he could use the market to balance out his economy and advance quicker to the next stage. Darkness Crusher, can you remind me, do I know you by a different name through Discord? Okay, the spearman is picked off, but at this point there are two spearmen here, so he can't, yeah, he can't get damage. Flying Mouse has to withdraw. Plotter Ghost has too many spearmen, he's got too many scouts. He's more invested in the feudal age than Flying Mouse is. So Plotter Ghost is further from the castle age as a result. Flying Mouse just needs to sell some wood and click up, I think. Just sell some wood and click up. Sold a little bit. Alright, there he goes. So he's clicking up to the castle age where it will probably be knights. He could do something very interesting. He could, you know, make like 4 spearmen and then come out here and build a mining camp on this stone and get some stone and start spamming Frankish castles. Basically every single one of these piles that you see is a castle and a half for him. Frankish castles are cheap. I think they're only 488 stone. Because you really don't... You know what's coming, right? You're going to be in the castle age. Your opponent is also probably going to be in the castle age pretty soon. Because Plotter is kind of at this point where Flying Mouse can't really mess with him anymore. He's patched up his you see he's built the palisade here. He's got a decent army of spearmen. He's expanding his wall on the front. Plotter Ghost has basically kind of gotten to this point where you can't really hurt him anymore in feudal age. And so therefore he's going to be able to afford some stuff when he gets in castle age. You can presume that he'll be able to afford... Oh, just passing. Presume that he'll be able to afford knights or camels. And be like, alright, well I'm going to need to do something about these camels. And making a lot of knights is not the solution. So I think Flying Mouse should try to secure this stone. Get on this stone and make castles everywhere. Because camels absolutely hate castle arrows. Camels have no pierce armor natively. They have to be upgraded in order to get pierce armor. This is a nice find though for Flying Mouse. And he dodges these spearmen, which is important. He's actually luring the spearmen away. And his scouts come in this other side, and they're going to pick off some villagers maybe. Depends on how long Plotter takes to notice this. He could maybe fight the scouts, but he decides to evacuate while his spearmen close in. Flying Mouse injured a couple of villagers extensively. He might get this last villager. Okay, he does get the last villager. And he loses a scout in the process. There are 2 scouts left. And a castle up here could be kind of good. It would sort of secure this central location. But Flying Mouse, let's see what Flying Mouse's plan is. Frank's... He is... I can't tell what... Plotter? What? Plotter making knights. Saracen knights. He's following the Ronald Rage strategy. And he's going to go crossbowman as the Franks. Well, alright. I mean, I guess Franks get fully upgradable crossbowmen, right? And you get free crossbowmen in the Joan of Arc campaign, so it makes sense. It makes sense. There were crossbowmen in medieval France. They are a perfectly respectable unit. He's gotten the crossbow upgrade. He's probably expecting camels, to tell you the truth. And crossbowmen can do okay against camels, because camels are not well armored. They're good against knights. You know, they use their HP to tank the knights. high attack. And then they themselves have huge bonus damage against knights. And Plotter kind of, I guess we do see a camel from him, and he's making another one. So Plotter is going to go camels. It's not a bad prediction. Flying Mouse, you can kind of guess. Flying Mouse curling around this way, looking for an opportunity. But he's here a little bit too soon. Plotter has not chopped through yet. Or sorry, Flying Mouse has not chopped through yet. But he might be able to get in this way. Flying Mouse not here in time. Sent some villagers. Ironically, if he deleted this house and no. If he deleted this house, he could have been here in time if he built with, you know, one of these villagers. But he's not there in time. So the good news for him is that he has a town center up on this gold, so not too much damage will come from that. The only villagers dying are the ones that were sent to wall so far. These light cav will be annoying. They're in on the wood line, and he gets another villager pick off, and another. And the light cav are all eliminated, but they were definitely cost effective in that trade. So he killed like 3 or 4 villagers off of Flying Mouse. Flying Mouse doesn't like to build lots of economy, I've noticed. But that's fun. I like players that like to go more all in. So he's got some camels. He's got actually 1 camel, 3 knights, and he's on his way over here. Okay. Alright. So Flying Mouse has the hill advantage now, and he's going to come and take this back. I haven't seen anybody get housed with that yet, but I'm sure it'll probably happen this season. So crossbows, pikemen. Yeah, the pikemen are too many for these knights and they retreat. So similar scores between these players. It's back and forth. Another town center up for Plotter Ghost. He's doing a 3 town center boom. Maybe a 4 town center boom. Sending villagers out to this corner as well to build on the gold and the wood line. At least that's what I presume they're doing. Where are they going? I don't know, maybe it was a misclick. Alright, so Flying Mouse's non-mobile Frankish army has arrived. And chases the knights back again. Knights do not wish to engage that. But give him credit. Flying Mouse did not make knights, and Plotter Ghost was expecting him to. Plotter Ghost is making knights, which is kind of unexpected. Okay, 3rd town center for Flying Mouse, so he's investing more in economy this game. And he's going to attack this house. I don't know about that. I think he should camp his units right here. Right here. Don't let him run in range of the town centers. Just put the crossbowmen on stand ground and just camp him right here. And Plotter Ghost knows of that vulnerability because he's building a house here. Plotter deciding to take a fight, but doesn't go well because there are a couple of knight reinforcements from Flying Mouse. And Siege Workshop finally for Plotter Ghost. I bet Flying Mouse is happy about that. He's forced Plotter to build a defensive Siege Workshop. And so far this is looking like Flying Mouse's game. It's got a very commanding position here, doing a lot of damage, got the map control. Plotter builds a town center here, which I think is greedy. Your opponent could very easily, you know, send some knights, or they could build a Siege Workshop here. And, you know, Flying Mouse is kind of letting this happen. I don't think Flying Mouse realizes about that. Yeah, he doesn't know. He never scouted this. So he doesn't know. Oops. He didn't know ever, and he doesn't know now. So he knows what's over here as far as he's concerned. It's just some trees, some gold. You know, he doesn't realize his opponent is exploiting it. So he may be surprised because he's spending all this time trying to get in here. And in the meantime... Wait! Alright, Flying Mouse is going to find this. Alright, that's good. Ooh. See if we can... Alright, and loses a knight there. So let me see if I can get back into the game screen share properly. Do you guys see anything? I don't see anything. So we go back to the league screen share. Alright, well, I don't know what's going on with that overlay. So Flying Mouse headed back. He's going to pressure this location because he sees that his opponent has some resource collection here. He's not going to do much with just these units. He needs siege. Likewise, he would need siege over here as well. Or, you know what? A Frankish castle would work really great. It would shut that down entirely. And he is on stone. So, he should definitely drop a castle right here. Be simple. It would punish his opponent for coming out and town centering some neutral resources. And it would force these knights to engage these units. There's 27 units right here, so he's pretty much outnumbered 2 to 1. But there are some mangonels. So Flying Mouse needs to be careful. He sees the mangonels. And these crossbowmen somehow survive that. There's 2 mangonels, but there are a bunch of knights. What? The knights let them live? Well, these are some really lucky crossbows. I know, but when I change scenes, I have a black screen here. Can you guys see the screen? Can you guys see the game right now? If you can, I'll leave it here. Because I can't. I can't see the game on OBS when I'm on this screen. I don't know what happened. I think I need to restart OBS. You can't see it? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. So that's why we're on this screen, unfortunately. So Flying Mouse is instead going to build, in my opinion, kind of a useless castle here. This castle does not damage his opponent at all. His opponent has plenty of gold here. He's got plenty of gold here. So what this castle does do is it does kind of give him a forward position. But, you know, if you're going to build a castle like that forward, I would, he could have built it right here, right up against the stable. His opponent doesn't have anything. He doesn't technically know what we know, but still, I think the best castle location would have been right here. Would have tied down these areas. It would have disrupted Plotter Ghost's economy. Flying Mouse has reached the Imperial Age, though, so that is the win. That's the win about what Flying Mouse has done, is he's going to have an advantage on the Trebuchet War. So, he can make a Trebuchet right now, and he can get a head start. Plotter Ghost is researching the Imperial Age, but he's not quite there yet. And Flying Mouse is building a university as well, so that he can afford to get chemistry. He should transition into cannons as soon as possible, because he's not going to be able to keep pace with the crossbow technology. So, yeah, that scene is really bothering me. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I don't want to do the rest of the cast like that. So in between, after this game, I might try to figure out what's going on. I'll probably restart Age of Empires is what I will do. So Flying Mouse is getting more cavalry upgrades now. He's getting the second armor upgrade, and he's getting husbandry, so he can have faster cavalry. Maybe try to get away from the camels a little bit better. He's got a night raid on Plotter Ghost's wood line here, and he's got another knight up here. Actually, this is not a knight, this is a light cav, but this should tell him enough. It tells him that his opponent's on this corner too. Plotter Ghost unmolested on this stone. Flying Mouse should totally be trying to deny this. I don't know if he knows about it, though. He does. He knows his opponent has a mining camp here. He's got a trebuchet working on his opponent's castle. Plotter Ghost is frantically repairing. And Flying Mouse getting chemistry. And this will help his cannons win a trebuchet war. He's got a monk here to convert gold miners, I guess. I'm not sure. No, monk. Alright, the monk dies. Now there is a raid happening here. These are light cav against knights. So light cav don't do so well against knights. Knights have much more melee armor and HP and attack. He does have a monastery, so he can make a few monks maybe to convert. But all of his... he's not repairing this castle either, which I think is a mistake. It would be cheaper to repair because he's Franks. And meanwhile, Plotterghost's castle holds. Now, Flying Mouse has committed a large cavalry raid up here, which is good for him. Plotterghost still has more economy than Flying Mouse. And Flying Mouse managing to clean this up. And this is still going on. So imagine if this castle had been built here. There's no real room for Plotterghost to build a defensive castle, except maybe right here. But even still, it wouldn't have kept his villagers alive and active in this location. Flying Mouse not really using his castle bonus at all. He built one castle. And the momentum is looking on the side of Plotterghosts. Plotter has built a lot of siege. And these scorpions are pretty effective at tearing down the crossbowmen. And Flying Mouse is transitioning into cavalry, but I think he's mainly producing knights and light cavalry. So all that Plotter has to do is mix in some camels. And we can see that that's exactly what he is doing. He's got some cavalry raids here. Flying Mouse still working on this town center. But these light cav don't have sufficient armor to protect them from this town center. A town center which has chemistry, I guess, but not bracer. 5+3 attack. Let's see here. Yeah, no bracer. 8+2 range. So Flying Mouse regrouping up here, I guess. It's going to send another raiding party this way. See if you can get some value from that. There are a number of unprotected villagers on these farms. But this is looking more and more like Plotterghost's game. He's got cannons, he's got trebuchets, he's got the villager advantage, and he's sending all of these former stone miners over to farms. So this is kind of a tell that he is planning on making units that cost a lot of food. So he's probably going to transition into lots of cavalry. So here's a defensive castle from Plotterghost on this location. So this will become harder to raid. Smoldering houses here as Plotterghost rolls forward. I don't know if Plotterghost realizes that he could, if he committed everything he has to this, he could probably take this hill. And Flying Mouse still has gold back here. He's got resources. He needs to refresh his lumber camp. So he's not long distancing. He's sending his troops forward now. He's gotten the halberdier upgrade, which will be helpful against the camels. His army is not mobile, but he does have a lot of it. And he might turn this around right here. Losing a lot of housing. Let's check Plotterghost's, or Flying Mouse's housing. He's actually It's pop limit of 145, and 10 of it is this shrine here. So he's actually almost housed by this. But I think Plotter's surprised. He thought that he had killed Flying Mouse. Flying Mouse coming back for another raid, but at this point there's a castle here. So Plotter adequately defending these locations with castles. Flying Mouse really going straight for the jugular. You know, he's been attacking. He's committed his siege weapons in his main attack to Plotter Ghost's main base. But I don't see a lot of siege weapons now. He had some scorpions earlier. He had a single trebuchet earlier. I don't see any siege workshops, and I don't see any castles. So maybe he wants to outraid the Saracens, but I don't really think you can outraid the Saracens if you're Franks. The best he gets is light cav. Granted, they're good light cav. They have extra health, but they're still only light cav. And these are Saracen hussars. Well, at least Flying Mouse has the final armor, which the Saracens do not. Saracens... Ooh, they're making Mamelukes. Yeah, he's missing the final armor. And he's... Is he going Paladins? Looks like he's got a lot of Cavaliers that he's making. So these Cavaliers will help him clean up these siege weapons here. They're going to want to stay away from the Mamelukes. The arrows from the town center are helping, but the light cav still get massacred by these camels. And what do we got over here? A stone mining operation getting raided to death. And I think the game is really getting away from Flying Mouse here. Similar to the previous game. Flying Mouse had some good ideas about playing aggressively. In the last game, he had the Malay war elephants. And in my opinion, that was not the best of strategic choices. And in this case, he just kind of let his opponent have all this space and all these extra resources from the corners. And I think he really could have slowed it down significantly, maybe even stopped it. I think the Cavalier is a good idea in theory, but he probably doesn't have enough supporting units, really, to fight with those Cavaliers and keep them alive in a major engagement. So we've got these Hussars are now knocking on the door. They could just go around. They don't have to destroy this gate. Maybe they just want to. I mean, there's Hussars in sufficient quantity to even fight these Halberdier, but Plotter Ghost will not do that. If there's a single Halberdier, he will not fight it. Oh no, actually, he does fight it. Alright. I think that's the right thing to do. This monk working on a conversion for a Hussar here. I mean, might as well, right? But the final main engagement, I think, Flying Mouse's army fighting desperately against the Saracens, and eventually it will be cleaned up. And Flying Mouse does have a defensive castle in his base, which is good. But now I think there's no stopping Plotter. He's fighting underneath the town center. Flying Mouse has made a modern army. He has some hand cannons. So, I don't know how great hand cannons are. There's too much health, in my opinion, in the heavy camel riders. I mean, look at these guys. They have 170 health. So, even without armor, it would take 10 hand cannoneers to one-shot a single heavy camel rider. Now, the Saracens get extra health on their camels anyway, so that's part of the reason why these guys are so tanky. Plotter Ghost sieging Flying Mouse's town center. Flying Mouse trying to maybe not be housed. I don't know. It looks like he doesn't really have a problem with that. And Plotter playing on this front as well. Pushing in with Hussars. The Hussars should be okay against the hand cannons. Flying Mouse is holed up in his base. The Hussars pushing through, and they're going to raid some villagers. And come to the back of the base. Plotter Ghost with a cheeky castle drop here. I'm sure that Flying Mouse sees that, but he can't stop it. These halberdiers have only become available now. I like how this monk with the relic is coming forward. That was probably a misclick. And yeah, Plotter's sending him back. The castle goes up. We got throwing axemen. We got halberdier. And Flying Mouse not giving up. I thought that he would. He's building another lumber camp back here. I really think all Plotter has to do is send like 20 or 30 hussars back here and it's over. Plotter has expanded to this corner. But Plotter wants to fight the front of Flying Mouse's base as well. Snipes the trebuchet. Pulls back. He has a trebuchet of his own, working on Flying Mouse's castle. Flying Mouse converted a camel. He certainly didn't make it by himself. Franks don't get camels. And Flying Mouse calls the GG. Realizes that he's cornered. Let's take a look at the achievements. So Plotter Ghost with a decisive kill-to-death ratio, I would call this. 328 to 266. It's more decisive than the last game. Not hugely decisive, but it's decisive. Raised 32 buildings, lost 2 buildings. Largest army, both of them at 51. The economies are more even this time, but Plotter Ghost still had the advantage. Flying Mouse with faster advancements to all the ages. I think Flying Mouse had the better early game economy. And he controlled the fights, and he basically could pick and choose, you know, where to take battle and what he was going to do. And it was Plotter that was reacting. The problem was that Flying Mouse didn't. I think he could have made some better choices. Plotter with 6 relics captured. No, 6 castles, 2 relics captured. Flying Mouse with 2 castles, which for Franks is pretty bad, in my opinion. You know, this needed to be the reverse. Flying Mouse not really prioritizing castles. Maybe it's just like one of those things where it's like he feels it's like overusing your queen in chess. Alright, Plotter Ghost with 1100 relic gold. Flying Mouse is about half as much. Villager high of 151 to 113. So Flying Mouse did get fully boomed eventually. And the timeline again of Plotter Ghost just kind of parrying all of Flying Mouse's attacks until Flying Mouse ran out of steam. So we're going to return to the replays here. Guys, I will be right back. I'm going to take a quick bio break. And when I come back, I will restart the game here. And let me actually just close this. So we're going to restart the game. Let me just test this right now to see if this works. Because if it doesn't, I might end the stream earlier and change the title. Game already running. What? No. Age of Empires 2. Let's play. Yeah, it's a rainy day today, so that's why I'm casting. I could be out doing yard work, but need to cast instead. Alright, come on. So what did you guys think about those games? Do you guys think that my analysis is correct? What could Flying Mouse have done to win either game and deny? Because Flying Mouse is a good player. I don't want to make it sound like he's not. Flying Mouse won the last sprint of the last season of Alchemy League, and he's won before. So he's definitely good at this. But in this case, Plotter got the better of him. Maybe Plotter's just been really good about practicing and stuff. Maybe it's not really a negative about Flying Mouse. Maybe it's about Plotter having practiced and, you know, come up with some good defensive play. Alright, so we are in the game. Let's see if we can change the game screen share. Alright, perfect. So there's the game screen share, guys. I will be right back. And then we'll get into Wisnatic versus Thomas Abruzzi. All right, I am back, guys. Thank you for sitting tight. Plotter Ghost is here, actually. He says, I think game 1 was just a timing thing. If he was earlier with his attack, I would not have been able to defend as easily. Game 2 is just a terrible Civ matchup for Franks, so you need to kill early. Yeah, we talked about, Franks versus Saracens is not the best. Not the easiest matchup, but I felt that the map had enough stone in game 2 where he really could have played into the castle thing and dropped all the castles on like the corner town centers that Plotter was building, that you were building. I never thought about the timing thing with the elephants. Yeah, maybe if the Malay were faster with the elephants, it could have been much harder to defend. So let me go into the league screen share now. So we're going to bring up, we're going to close these off. That was a fun set, though. It was still competitive. Even though Plotter had some commanding wins, there was a lot of back and forth, and I couldn't really tell who was going to win for a while. All right, so we've got Thomas Abruzzi Thofu versus Wizanatic. And my understanding of the way that this draft works is they're going to play Crater of Doom and Emigration. I guess we'll find out. I was not expecting Crater of Doom and Conflagration. Plotter and Flying Mouse were round 2. So the map of that round was actually Conflagration, I believe. Platigo says, I was surprised I got to 3 corners with TCs in game 2. Yeah, I think we were all surprised. But Flying Mouse, he was out to get you. And he wanted a singular drive against your base. Or a single drive against your base. He just wanted to spearhead the exact center of your empire. Okay. So 16 random bans, 4 global bans. Dofu Wizanatic sniping the Chinese from Thomas Abruzzi. Thomas Abruzzi sniping the Japanese from Wizanatic. And leaving Wizanatic with Persians, Jurchens, Lithuanians, Tatars, and Berbers. And Thomas Abruzzi with the Wu, the Malay, the Britons, the Cumans, and the Aztecs. Alright, so they do the map draft first, and then they do the civilization draft based on those maps. The civilizations that they think would be good. So now we're going to load into the game. Oops. Wrong option. Load game. Alright. I'm going to do game screen share. There we go. So we got Crater of Doom and Shogun. So maybe these were from the same week. They're both Crater of Doom for the first game. Alright, so let's... I try to do it differently. Try to have different maps. Okay. So, Wizanatic with 209 stone. So he does have the handicap. The villagers with... I guess still 25 HP, so you can't see the handicap yet, but Wizanatic has 5% handicap, so it's like he gets all of the Roman economy bonuses, essentially. And he's over here looking... Oh, he's going to lame. Wizanatic's going to lame. Oh, wait, sorry, that's Thomas Abruzzi's village. There we go, yeah, so you can see 26 HP on the Shepherd before Loom. So right off the bat, Wizanatic is starting off with a lame as the Persians, the Persian lame. Thomas Abruzzi with good micro himself, though. I mean, this is a 2.6k player, so he's able to block the boar and prevent Wizanatic from laming. So I'm actually really excited to cast these guys. Number one, because we get a top 50 player in Alchemy League, which is pretty cool. Hopefully, he likes it and sticks around. We're able to provide him a good challenge, and he doesn't mind scheduling and meeting some of our players, and doesn't mind the fact that there's not a lot of rewards associated with it other than just the prestige, I guess, of Alchemy League. But the other thing that I'm looking forward to is seeing Wizanatic, a 2.3k player. Look at all this health for this Persian town center. This is insane. This is 5,000 HP for a Persian town center. I'm looking forward to seeing Wizanatic play with 5% handicap. I think that's going to be hilarious. Because if there's, you know, if there's like 50 people in the world that are capable of defeating a Wizanatic with 5% handicap, and Red is one of them. So Red is playing as the Malay. Same as Flying Mouse, actually. Flying Mouse and Thomas Abruzzi kind of both seeing the same thing. Wizanatic, surely he sees this boar. Maybe he's like, ooh, I'm going to lame that boar. But no, he's actually just going to be aggressive against his enemy's woodline here. So maybe this is going to be some kind of... I guess he hasn't... Yeah, he hasn't... This is an insta-drush, basically. And he manages to kill a villager, which is huge. So this is the Persian insta-drush here. He did not build a lumber camp. So he built a barracks before the lumber camp. And he's having fun with the Persian insta-drush there. He's already gotten... It's already paid for itself. He killed a villager. And at this elo, you know, early villagers are everything. So Thomas Abruzzi, Perler, Builder. Okay, what's this? And he's going to build the dock. So he took some pearls until he could afford to build the dock. And now he's building the dock. And she's going to drop off 10 gold and pearls. And I don't know what she's going to do with that. Or wait a second, did Wizanatic not find that? How did, you know, these guys are so fast paced. It's not like the other game where we can talk about AI. And yeah, Wizanatic did not find that. That's really lucky for Thomas Abruzzi. So she drops off the pearls at the dock, so she's no longer clutching her pearls. And now she's going to take some of this hair. And Wizanatic's still on the prowl for some damage back here. He's got a few militia. Wizanatic, I think, is... No, he actually has not scouted the map very well, but he scouted his opponent's base pretty well. Basically, scouted everything in his opponent's base except the town center, because he doesn't want to run into that. Oh. Okay. Well, actually, he survives. That surprises me. Wizanatic coming out here for some chickens. He's also finally built his own lumber camp. 5,000 HP for a town center. Imagine it. Think about it. He's trying to get in. He's got a hill advantage on these militia. And Thomas Abruzzi, kind of, you know, you can't really do much. It's 2 militia. You don't really want to donate too much health for your scout against that. So Wizanatic's just being a pain with these militia back here. Keeping an eye on it, using the hill to try to get in. He gets the bonus damage from the hill. And Thomas Abruzzi has to station a villager to repair it, just wasting time. But Thomas Abruzzi, as the Malay, is oystering. So, you can get some decent gold income with this. You know, I've seen it. I saw it mentioned in the server that you can pay for a man-at-arms rush without having to build a mining camp, essentially. You can just build a few fishing ships on some oysters here, and then your normal food income from the rabbits. And you can essentially afford a man-at-arms rush pretty easily with a different kind of eco, a little bit more efficient of an eco. Uh-oh. Alright, it's only 1 arrow, so Thomas Abruzzi not too badly hurt. Most of Wizanatic's villagers are elsewhere. And I guess while we were not looking... Oh, no, Wizanatic still has his militia. And he's heading back this way. Does he know that Thomas Abruzzi is on oysters? Well, he does now. He just scouted it. Okay, so he sees it. It's like, alright, I'm going to go kill that. He did not go there before, but the scout happened to discover it. And how he's going to work on this dock. He's going to get some hill. He's going to pull this guy up to get some hill advantage. The docks don't shoot. Yeah, it's because of the minimum range, sadly. So he ungarrisons. I did not know that, but I guess the docks have minimum range, so they can't shoot. Well, you guys in chat can actually correct me. I'm pretty sure it's because of the minimum range, but we don't see a range indicator. So it's kind of not intuitive. But I would think that he would know about that if there were a minimum range thing. Maybe it really is a genuine bug. But I don't know how it could be related to the map. Because we didn't touch anything with docks for the map. For Jasuki. So because they don't shoot, he might as well just continue collecting oysters, so that's what he's going to do. Wizanatic is Feudal Age. And what's Wizanatic going to do with Feudal Age? He's made some more militia. And is he going to get Man-at-Arms? He is. So he's doing Persian Man-at-Arms, which is kind of unexpected. And Thomas Abruzzi quick walling. It's kind of awkward because there's such a hill here. Yeah, and he can't really quick wall this. So these villagers on the berries have to evacuate. I think he's going to lose another villager here, which he does. So Wizanatic has been able to kill 2 villagers of Thomas Abruzzi's before Thomas Abruzzi hits the Feudal Age, which is really good value for him. And you can see it in the score advantage here. Now, it's not as big of a deal as it might be for other civilizations because Thomas Abruzzi is playing as the Malay. And the Malay advance very quickly. So he basically could click up on a higher villager count already. So we maybe cycle this. We see that, yeah, Thomas Abruzzi's got a 5 villager advantage because maybe because of, you know, slightly better micro and everything. Okay, I guess Wizanatic's just going to build an outpost here for whatever reason. Decides not to finish the tower. He's going to build a house, maybe because he needs it. Not exactly sure the logic behind that. But also because of being the Malay. So they're both in Feudal Age, but the 2.6k player has 3 villagers more than you do, and that's scary if you're Wizanatic. You gotta try to get in here and mess with your opponent significantly. And he is, you know, he's got stuff over here, he's got stuff over here. He's chiseling on this wall, and he's gonna break in from this side, and that's gonna be annoying. Thomas Abruzzi built a solid tower here. The tower will secure the wood line. It will kind of secure the gold too. Wizanatic is towering his front gold though, so Thomas Abruzzi really needs this gold. But he's not taking it now because he does have the oysters. So Wizanatic, he's continuing to take the rabbits and the chickens on the Crater of Doom caldera. Or the rim of the caldera, I should say. The rim of the stratovolcano. Thomas Abruzzi has some archers in the middle fighting with this dock. I bet if he garrisoned the dock, he'd be able to shoot at these archers now. It's just, the dock has minimum range. So he's actually got a good engagement here against Wizanatic, and he is going to clean up these archers. I didn't see what happened to Wizanatic's man-at-arms. Oh, yeah, okay, they went over here. So they came back, and they decided to destroy the dock instead. Thomas Abruzzi has built a fire ship, and he needs to send a villager over here to repair this. The one fire ship is enough to scare these man-at-arms away. And he is continuing. He's actually sent 3 villagers to repair this dock. And then he's going to probably go back to picking some berries, maybe. Although, there's no mill here, so he'll have to rebuild it. He lost his mill, or maybe he deleted it. Probably not, though, because he could have just deleted the palisades to get out. So probably Wizanatic destroyed it. And Thomas Abruzzi rallying. He's making a comeback. He is on the offensive now. He is going to find Wizanatic's woodline. Now, Wizanatic is nearly Castle Age, though. And he's building a market. He's got 1,000 gold. He's got a lot on gold for Wizanatic. And he can't town center the woodline. But he could town center other critical resources. So he evacuates this wood line and he chops some stragglers for a little bit longer. And it looks like he bought some food and some wood. So what's Wisnatic going to do with his castle age now that he's here? He has one tower on Thomas Abruzzi's gold, and he's taking a lot of chickens. Thomas Abruzzi doesn't know about Wisnatic's investment over here to take these chickens. It looks like he's sending some military to kind of investigate it and see if Wisnatic's out here taking resources. But actually, Wisnatic is here. And Wisnatic's going to build a town center in that location. Thomas Abruzzi says, "Oh, you thought you could take wood. Not on my watch." So he's going to come back and he's going to maybe snipe a few villagers. He gets one, but due to some unfortunate pathing and a face full of arrows, he loses some archers, so he's got to pull him back. He's going to come this way. So Wisnatic's finally got enough skirmishers to chase this off. There's 5 archers, though. They could probably still kill these man-at-arms, so he could still get value out of them. Wisnatic back on the wood line again. Alright, and he is making a forward siege workshop. So surely Thomas Abruzzi will know about... Well, he sees the siege workshop going up, so he's probably going to be suspicious about it. He might come over here later. He's got some fire ships on the prowl to keep these fishing ships safe. And Wisnatic coming in. It's got some skirmishers here. Thomas Abruzzi with scouts, with archers. This is a vulnerable location for Wisnatic. And Wisnatic losing a villager in that department. Thomas Abruzzi with 58 villagers to Wisnatic's 44. And he's close to chopping through. So Thomas Abruzzi is going all in feudal age here against Wisnatic. And Wisnatic, in the meantime, has... I guess he's got a ram working on this market. This is pretty annoying. Market's very valuable for rearranging your economy. And all that Wisnatic has to do is garrison this, and he just garrisons the town center and kills the scout. He's actually... Is he just going to... He's trying to take down this market as quickly as possible. It's going to be annoying. This is going to be 200, maybe 175 wood to rebuild. Villagers trying to chase this ram down and learning the hard way that there's a town center here. Actually, he already knew that there was a town center there because it killed his scout. So it must be that he thought that this ram was going to continue on to the archery range, and so therefore he decided to shank it when the ram just pulled back. So, all that being said, Thomas Abruzzi still got a villager advantage. He's still got a 10 villager lead over his opponent. More than that. Even though Wisnatic is in Castle Age. Just for a couple of reasons. I think one is because Wisnatic doesn't have very good map control in his own base. And number two, because melee. He had a villager advantage because he advanced quicker to the feudal age. And he also hasn't... He's been making villagers the entire time that Wisnatic advanced to the Castle Age. So his town center has only been making villagers. Wisnatic finally managing to clear up that. He's got a little house wall here. He's got an outpost to keep an eye on what Thomas Abruzzi does. And now he can go on the offensive again. He's got a ram. He's got a knight. Knights are so hard for feudal age units to deal with. I guess if you have enough spearmen, you can do it. But it's like 3 spearmen per knight. Thomas Abruzzi sniping the mangonel and then running off with his scouts. Is Thomas Abruzzi ever actually going to go to the Castle Age? Who knows? Doesn't look like he's planning on it. He's got two stables making scouts. He's got 600... Well, you know, I think he is, because he is saving up the food slowly. I think he canceled some scouts. So he is going to go up to the Castle Age. And I think that's a good call. I think he needs to. It's sort of getting hard to damage Wisnatic with feudal age units. Yeah, okay, he clicks up to the Castle Age, which I think is a good choice. Wisnatic with a slight score lead. Remember, he's Persians with 5% handicap, so he's got a supercharged economy, essentially. And Wisnatic coming here because he wants to mess with these fire ships. But Thomas Abruzzi, a.k.a. Thofu. He's got... The fire ships are okay, and he sends his cavalry here. So it's funny, he focused the camel, you know, with these fire ships, and then he could send the scouts in to fight. So that's kind of clever. It's good planning. All right, so we got a blacksmith from... he's got to rebuild his blacksmith. Okay, that's why. I was like, what? He doesn't have a blacksmith? He's got to have a blacksmith. He's got fletching. But no, it's because Wisnatic destroyed it. He reaches Castle Age. He's melee. Melee advanced to Castle Age more quickly. He's heavily invested in archers, so logically, you know, get crossbowmen, get some eco upgrades, get light calves. He's basically getting the upgrades corresponding to units that he's already making. So his own military will become more effective from this. What is Wisnatic doing? Wisnatic is trying to get a villager advantage, and he's kind of succeeded here. He now has one more villager than his opponent, so they're essentially tied. Of course, that's going to be corrected pretty quick. So Thomas Abruzzi comes over here and picks off a few villagers. And yeah, they're tied now. They're just barely tied. This game has been very intense. It's been an absolute joy to cast. They've been going at it. We got a cavalry battle here in the center. Wisnatic managing to kill these fire ships and the defending cavalry just as these crossbows arrive. And Wisnatic pulls back. So Thomas Abruzzi has managed to keep these fire ships, or these fishing ships, alive. Which is pretty impressive, I think. Wisnatic has a sprawling farm economy over here. Thomas Abruzzi has chopped through. He's built some farms on the side, on the slopes of this stratovolcano, and he's going to take some stone, which is a good call. Where is his stone right now? Actually, where are his 2 tiles of stone? He's got them, but they're right here. So this stone is a little bit safer, maybe. And Wisnatic has actually not chopped through yet. So I don't know how much Thomas Abruzzi knows about that. I guess he kind of knows that Wisnatic is not chopping as aggressively as he was. So the safer stone location, and Thomas Abruzzi building up a mass of elephants. Look at all these elephants, you guys. Wisnatic came in and he sniped a few fishing ships with some cavalry, and now these elephants are going to chase the cavalry away. So Thomas Abruzzi raiding Wisnatic's woodline here with some Malay elephants. Wisnatic's still with, you know, tied with villagers. And somebody calls the GG. It's Wisnatic. Thomas Abruzzi turns this game around. That was very impressive defense against Wisnatic's aggression. I mean, Wisnatic had a very aggressive push here. He built a forward Persian town center. He had some rams. He destroyed a bunch of buildings. Thomas Abruzzi had to rebuild his market and his blacksmith over here. But I guess Wisnatic, feeling overwhelmed by the Malay elephants here, felt that these elephants were really going to just stampede through his base. As soon as they worked their way through these 3 camels, it was somewhat inevitable, felt Wisnatic. But Wisnatic, with a really strong opening, sniped a couple of villagers in the Dark Age, sniped one on the woodline, and then one of the, I think one of the berry pickers as she was retreating. So it was a very competitive game. Very fast-paced, too. Thomas Abruzzi fishing out the crater, almost. Let's take a look at the achievements. So, relatively even KD, actually. Wisnatic destroyed more buildings than he lost. Thomas Abruzzi with a much larger army. He stayed in Feudal Age longer. A lot of that was archers and skirmishers and scouts. Wisnatic with more food collected. Thomas Abruzzi with more wood collected and slightly more stone. And Thomas Abruzzi with a lot more gold collected. That's all the oysters right there. Wisnatic with faster castle and feudal times. So faster advancement times overall. Thomas Abruzzi explored slightly more of the map and had more research. Society count. Wisnatic did get a higher villager count than Thomas Abruzzi. And I think Thomas Abruzzi kind of exploited that. You know, he sort of punished Wisnatic. Wisnatic maybe took his foot off the gas a little bit so that he could boom up and get a villager advantage. And Thomas Abruzzi did well to recognize that that's what his opponent was doing. Invested heavily in the elephants and the crossbows. And we can see a very back and forth game, and Thomas Abruzzi did have an economy advantage being the melee for much of it. So what did you guys think of that game? Please let me know. We're going to move on to game 2, which is on Shogun. So Shogun was made by Biscuits for Alchemy League Season 10. And I helped Biscuits with the with kind of a custom base placement program. We got some neutral golds here. And we got the players, they're kind of arranged closer to this gold together. We got the ruins of a castle here with some stone and such in the middle. And we got some berries. Maybe they used to be a nice garden around the castle. We got an eagle versus a scout. In the Dark Age, the eagle is better. So, yeah, Wisnatic does not want to fight this, and it looks like he is not going to fight this. And that's his choice, because the scout is faster. So the scout can run away. And we have Aztecs versus Lithuanians, which I am really looking forward to. You got an outer forest on Shogun here. It's kind of somewhat irregular. It's got little pockets in it. So we're going to see players come out immediately to build a lumber camp. Probably see Thomas Abruzzi do something quite similar. I think this forest is actually a little bit closer to Wisnatic than it is to Thomas Abruzzi. So let's talk about this map. Oh, look at this. This is like an Aztec very early mill. The mill before the lumber camp. So, and Thomas Abruzzi going for a lightning fast castle here. The mill before lumber camp is something that you really only see if somebody is doing like a 23 or 24 pop fast castle. I don't really see any other reason to do it than that. And even then, it's kind of a hard sell. So, we could see ultra fast monks from Thomas Abruzzi. And Aztec monks are very compelling. They get +5 HP for every unit, every monastery technology that they research. So, Aztec monks. Aztec monks, when you research enough technologies, they're pretty tanky. They are pretty tanky. Now, Lithuanians can actually also do a pretty fast castle. But I'm not sure that that's what they are going to do. Wisnatic's got his 2 boar. I mean, he got mostly safe resources, right? The only difference is that you have a very vulnerable wood line. That's it. And we kind of see a different philosophy here. Wisnatic going for a barracks. Wisnatic is, of course, handicapped to 5%. And Thomas Abruzzi has built a house to help protect his berry pickers. And he's going to come out here and make a lumber camp. And he's got enough wood. Probably builds it right in this pocket. Maybe not, though. Nope, just going to build it right there. So what else to talk about? Well, Biscuits, he really likes the Chinese city. Some of you may remember Biscuits as the creator of Gugong for Alchemy League Season 6. Biscuits made Gugong, which was an arena-style map for us. He likes the closed city-type maps. It's a lot of fun. So let's see here. Thomas Abruzzi queuing up. Okay, just 2 more villagers after he's already at 20 pop. So maybe 23. Well, maybe this is going to be a 23 pop fast castle. It's going to be a 22 pop something. I don't think you can do fast castle. I think it's going to be 22 pop into something. I don't know. I guess we'll be surprised. He's found this woodline with his eagle. He attacks Wizenatic's villager. Wizenatic does not have loom, so he could potentially get a villager pick-off here. Wizenatic trying to pull the villager back. Now, he gets the villager pick-off, but it costs him his scout. So that's the price. So Wizenatic down a villager. Wizenatic actually going to the feudal age quickly. He's probably planning some kind of man-at-arms push. Maybe he's scouted these villagers here. And Thomas Abruzzi is still taking these berries. It's a bit of a risk. But he quick walls. And he basically arranges it so that he can get new berry pickers. And now here comes the problem though, is Wizenatic's going to come forward and tower these berries. And there's not really anywhere to run. So he sees the tower, he has to delete the wall. The scout has trapped these villagers in, and this is not good. He's got to retreat the other way. He's gonna, I think, has to delete the house. One villager sacrifices itself, and the other 3 are fleeing. Now I think Wizenatic should be able to kill this weak villager. He's positioning his man-at-arms in front to do so. But Thomas Abruzzi being a little greedy with the berries and getting punished for it. He's going to lose. He got the berries, but it cost him 2 villagers. So now he's going to build the market. And he's going to build a couple of house and a couple of palisades here to keep these villagers safe. He knows that his opponent isn't going to have a tower here anytime soon, because you only start with 200 stone. And so if you build 1 tower, which costs 125 stone, you have to take stone in order to be able to afford another tower. So these are safe for a little while, because he knows that his opponent has to take stone in order to build here, or has to, use the market, which is even more expensive. So Lithuanians, men-at-arms plus towers. Who would have thought it possible? Who would have guessed? Now, I'm not sure what happened here. It looks like he actually got in and killed another villager. This is kind of a disaster for Thomas Abruzzi at this point now. He's lost 3 villagers. And he's building a mining camp. And he has a market, so for a little while he can buy what he needs. And we check Thomas Abruzzi's point of view. Wizenatic is kind of playing all in, right? Thomas Abruzzi's at 19 villagers, and Wizenatic's at 23. So Wizenatic's basically, the villager difference is what Wizenatic has killed. Wizenatic is slowly making villagers, but his economy is awful. He's got 2 villagers on food. He's got 2 villagers on gold. He's got 6 villagers on wood, and I guess now he's taking the berries. But he had to send the villagers out here, and the berry collection is slow. So his economy is not the best, and Thomas Abruzzi is going to be castle age. So Thomas Abruzzi, greedy berries, greedy fast castle, but he's Aztecs. So Aztecs mean monastery. Monks are very good against feudal age units. Even scouts at this level, monks are good against. It's the light cav the monks struggle against, and he's got to repair this. This lumber camp. Wizenatic actually getting arson to accelerate the rate at which he can destroy this. And he's made a skirmisher to slowly chip away at this repair lady's health. It takes 1 HP at a time. So the skirmisher does 2 damage. So 2 minus the pierce armor is 1. And we see a monastery and a siege workshop from Thomas Abruzzi. So I think the first thing he's got to do is bail this out. And he comes over here with 2 monks, maybe 1 monk on the scout, 1 monk on a high HP man-at-arms, and that's okay. A single monk would be a risk, but 2 monks should be able to deal with this pretty effectively. Got to pull this villager back and just kind of have her stand here until the area is safe, and use the high HP villagers to repair this lumber camp. Or he's going to micro her, I don't know. Yeah, there's nowhere safe to go, so she just dies. Let's check Thomas Abruzzi's point of view. He has a mangonel and he has a monk. So he's going to send the one monk back here, maybe? Nope. He's going to let this lumber camp fend for itself, I guess. And he's got a couple more monks in queue. Oh, I see. I think the mangonel is bait. I think the mangonel is just to get his opponent to withdraw the scout so that he can convert these 2 man-at-arms easily. And Wizanatic taking the bait, pulling a scout back. Now moving a scout again because he sees that his opponent maybe has some monks. And he does get a conversion on the man-at-arms. So man-at-arms now attacks the scout and does decent damage. Man-at-arms are good against scouts. 6 damage, 45 HP versus 5 damage and 45 HP. Now the goal is to keep this mangonel alive, and he has the monks to do it. He's converting from the other side of the wall, so Wizanatic does not want to be here. And he gets another man-at-arms conversion. So he now has 2 man-at-arms. And Wizanatic is kind of walled in this space. You know, he's built his own Lithuanian walls here. He's built a market and an archery range. And he's adding another tower. And Thomas Abruzzi has made a ram. And he's garrisoned the man-at-arms in the ram. And he's got a mangonel here working on this too. So this market of Wizanatic's is going to go down pretty quickly, actually. Wizanatic has 3 scouts in queue. He deleted a little hole in this wall so that he can slip in here and reinforce this. He does have 35 villagers, and Thomas Abruzzi has 21. So Wizanatic has a big eco lead. His monks are a little bit out of position, I think. This mangonel's going to fire some rocks into the chaos. Drops a couple of villagers, but the ram does go down. Thomas Abruzzi's like, I'll take that villager. He needs this villager. He needs all the villagers he can get. Alright, so he's going to repair this mangonel, and he actually is going to destroy that tower. And Wizanatic is building up some farms. Both these guys have very low eco this game. It's not like the last game, actually, where they built a dock. Hey, Cookie Pirate, welcome. Cookie Pirate's been lurking, but he's back. Excellent. Thomas Abruzzi is probably still broke. Yeah, look at this. 2 on wood, 1 on food, 16 on gold. Classic clownery, which we'd love to see. Ram coming in. Mangonel. Okay. Mangonel damaged the battering ram a little bit, but now Wizanatic has essentially been... His towers have been cleared out, and Thomas Abruzzi's got to drop the relics and start the conversions, but I guess he looked away. These monks... Oh, wait, these monks don't have the juice. They've been converting villagers. So these are Thomas Abruzzi's villagers, and Wizanatic somewhat baiting Thomas Abruzzi into converting the villagers, and then after the villagers were converted, ran in with the light cabs. If these monks had had conversion faith, it could have been a different story, and Wizanatic takes a game off of a 2.6k player. Granted, he had 5% handicap, but still, I mean, Thomas Abruzzi has shown that he is a formidable player this season of Alchemy League, and that should be of no surprise to anyone. So, GG, well played. Let's take a look at the statistics. So, Wizanatic with 10 kills, 8 deaths, 1 building raised, 3 buildings lost, and converted no units. Largest army of 7. Thomas Abruzzi killed 4 units, lost 10, raised 3 buildings, lost 1, 4 units converted for him. Largest army of 9. Wizanatic with the better eco. Thomas Abruzzi with, oh, well, let's face it, a pretty bad eco, but he collected a lot more gold, and that paid for his monks. So Thomas Abruzzi with a very fast castle age time. Was an attic with very fast feudal age time and more of the map explored. Larger research count. Was an addict's villager high of 35 compared to Thomas Abruzzi's 23. So he knew that his opponent was starving for villagers, so he kind of was careless, quote unquote, careless with the villagers up front, so that Thomas Abruzzi would convert the villagers, and then he rushed in with some light cav. And the monks didn't have any faith. Was an addict, you know, playing the game pretty smart, I think. Played into the scouts and punished the greed from red. Alright guys, so that is going to do it for me today. I really appreciate everybody who tuned in for our test stream. Hopefully there weren't too many technical difficulties. It looked like there was just one main difficulty with the screen going black under the traditional game screen share. So we got a great map pack for Alchemy League Season 10. We're off to a fantastic start. Everybody's playing their games. It's really nice. So it's quite encouraging, and it makes me excited for future casts. So I will see you guys this weekend. The next planned cast is on Sunday, now that I've confirmed things are going well. At which time we'll be co-casting with Plotter Ghost. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I'll see you guys then. So thanks so much, and we'll catch you guys later.